Okay, so what's in fishing news? The cheaters have been arrested on felony fraud charges. That's kind of funny. Dude's boat was even taken from him. Good. Now that's interesting. So we're starting today's journey in Sharpsburg, PA. This is an area I really haven't had much luck with in 2 years, despite the fact that it's renowned as a walleye haven. With fall fishing patterns in full swing and this little inlet bay right here, it's a good time to catch some live minnow. At least that was the theory. I'm using my standard Jello cornmeal corn dough ball as bait.
See a nice little hole right there. There we go.
And spoiler alert, I will not be pulling in any big blue channel cats today. There are a couple in the river as the Game Commission was slowly releasing them to see how they would adapt to the three rivers. But this is the first time where they've actually done a substantial stocking of 13,000 fingerlings. So while it is possible to see one of these fish that swam up from the lower Ohio River, it's highly improbable. The only one I've ever seen pulled out was about a 3-pound blue catfish out of the dock in Verona. So they are in there, but the chances of hooking into one are so slim right now, it's not even worth mentioning. And the fingerlings are still a couple years away from actually being substantial in size themselves. So we're starting the day with 2 stationary rods with the dough ball on it to see how that works out. This area in general, though, I've never had much luck finding catfish or carp. Reason being, it's really too shallow, and you could actually see the break in the water. There's a shelf that dips down to about 3 feet. Past that, it dips off to about 14. That's actually where you want to be casting. Unfortunately, from shore, it's really hard to get to that point, and at least in the summertime, it's very hard to get the fish to commit to the closer shore level. But since this is fall, I'm hoping that they're a little bit more exploratory than they are in the summertime. So we'll see how that works out. And in truth, I should actually be out here with a pair of waders to get to the end of that shelf as far as I can, as long as it's safe. And if you've watched the channel regularly, you know that I haven't worn waders at all this year. And there are a couple reasons for that. Namely, I just wanted to focus on shore fishing for the year. And it gives me something to do next year that's a little bit different. So next year I'll be out in the water a lot more. And with all the perils that come with that. So stay tuned.
And we just let them be. Yeah, with it being this clear, top water's out. Too bright for them. So I need something that goes down lower. You know what? We're going to start with you.
So if the muskie is the fish of 1,000 casts, Sharpsburg is the place where you fish where you have to cast 1,000 times to catch anything. This has been my experience at this place for many outings, and I still just come out here. It's gorgeous to look at. I mean, I really love the area, but at least from shore, it's just a terrible place to fish. But as I'm struggling out here, something more interesting is happening with my minnow trap down below. To put it lightly, despite there being quite literally millions of minnow all around me, they're just not taking the bait. And I suspect the reason is, even though the cornball works very great in the summertime, springtime, when things are going to warm up, these fish know that winter is coming. And if they're going to make an effort to eat something, it's going to be something substantially more filling than this. So my theory is that, well, for one, if you want to see what the carp and catfish are doing, take a look at what the bait fish are doing. For two, I suspect if I put a hot dog in this trap, or something with a lot of nitrates and a heavier meat, that they'll shoot right into this thing. I did end up catching 3 minnow throughout this entire time, as sad as that is, and didn't catch anything off those either. So it's a multifaceted dilemma right now. One, the larger predatory fish are so overfed because of all these minnow that they're not really attacking all that much. And two, in order to attract any fish's attention, you really have to throw something that's nutrient dense. It's going to get it, earn it. So these are going to be lessons moving forward. Fortunately, they won't be able to be implemented today. So I stuck around until sunset. Nothing much really changed. I did see a couple predatory fish jumping closer to shore, but it was still about 10 feet beyond where I could cast anything. It's frustrating. It's so close and yet so far. Once again, this is going to be a place that I'm going to explore more with waders, and I think that's going to make all the difference in the world, at least in this one little particular peninsula setting. Ideally, I'd be out there with a boat, but let's build up that subscriber count first. And speaking of which, if you like what I do here, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, share, because I do have some cool new things coming down the line, including some giveaways as well. So more on that in a future episode. So we moved about 7 miles downstream, right behind PNC Park in Pittsburgh, right where the three rivers meet. This is the very end of the Allegheny River, and coincidentally, right where they dropped off those 13,000 blue catfish fingerlings. I figured at that size, there's a possibility, albeit slim, that they would go after a dough ball and I might be able to reel one in. So we'll see how that works out.
Got him. He's got a weird pulsation to him. I'm trying to figure out. Could be with that big weight on there. That's probably what it is. Doesn't feel too big. Yeah, look at that. More garbage on little channel catfish, but is head first in a whole bunch of foliage. Yeah, you're not going anywhere, pal. Yeah, little guy. Let's get that hook out of him, get him back in. Number one for the evening.
Well, since he was the only one of the evening, I'm going to have to retroactively do a slow motion shot here. Hindsight is 20/20 slow motion. So I actually stuck around until about 2:30 in the morning, and that was the only fish I caught. I was watching some predatory fish, I believe it was bass, walleye, and gar, actually coming really close to the surface and feeding on the abundance of minnow, which were also present here. So that was pretty cool. Now trying to attract these fish, pretty difficult in the fall. But I got some ideas that hopefully I'll have some time before winter comes to implement. So it was a pretty lame day of fishing, but with scenery like this, who cares? Keep that in mind anytime you go out there to hit the water. Any day's a good day. Until next time, keep on fishing.